I'm 36, a software engineer, married for 8 years, and until about 6 months ago, I thought I had a pretty decent life. I work remotely, and my wife has a corporate job that often demands travel. That's how this whole thing started, her job, or more specifically, a mandatory work conference that didn't quite add up. Now, my wife and I had always been pretty open with each other. We had our share of ups and downs, like any couple, but there was never a reason for me to doubt her, until she started getting cagey about this trip. The first red flag came when she didn't mention it until the last minute. She'd casually brought it up over dinner, saying, "Oh, by the way, I'll be out of town next week for this conference." "Where's it at?" I asked, trying to make conversation. "Miami," she replied quickly, too quickly. "It's just a couple of days. Really boring corporate stuff." Miami? It felt odd. Her company usually held events closer to home, but I brushed it off. Maybe I was overthinking. She left that Wednesday, kissed me goodbye, and promised to call every night. The first night she did call, but it felt off. The hotel room was strangely quiet. No background noise, no signs of life. I asked how her day went, and she gave vague, rehearsed answers. "Oh, it was just meetings all day. So exhausting. I'm going to crash early. I'll let it slide." But by the second night, my gut was screaming at me. This time, she didn't call until nearly midnight, and when she did, she sounded distracted. I asked if everything was okay, and she snapped, "Of course. I'm just tired, all right?" That's when I started digging. I'm not proud of what I did next, but desperation can push you to places you never thought you'd go. I checked our shared credit card account, something I'd never done before. Her hotel charge was there, but so was another one, a dinner bill for two at an upscale restaurant in Miami. That wasn't the only thing. I scoured her social media and noticed she'd been tagged by her coworker. Let's call him M. The post was innocuous at first glance, just a group of colleagues at a beachside bar. But there was my wife, sitting suspiciously close to M, their body language far too intimate for just coworkers. Still, I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I needed proof. So, I did something drastic. I called her company's HR department, pretending to be someone from her team. I asked about the Miami conference and got hit with the bombshell. There was no conference. Not only that, but her time off had been filed as personal leave. My blood ran cold. I felt like an idiot, like the world's biggest fool. I debated confronting her then and there, but I decided to wait until she got home. I wanted to see her face when I asked the questions. When she walked through the door that Friday night, she looked guilty, like a teenager sneaking in past curfew. I tried to act normal, but my stomach was in knots. "How was Miami?" I asked, keeping my tone casual. "It was fine," she replied, avoiding eye contact. "Long and boring," like I said. I nodded and let the silence stretch, waiting for her to squirm. Finally, I couldn't hold it in anymore. "Funny thing," I said. "I called your HR department." Her face froze, and her eyes went wide. "What?" "They said there was no conference." "So, care to explain where you really were?" She stammered, her voice trembling as she spat out half-baked excuses. I didn't want to go, but Em insisted. "It was just a casual trip with some colleagues. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd overreact." "Overreact?" I snapped, my voice rising. "You lied to my face, and you expect me to stay calm? Were you sleeping with him?" That's when the tears started. She admitted to everything. Yes, she'd been with him. Yes, they'd been seeing each other for months. Yes, she'd used work trips as an excuse more than once. I saw red. I wanted to scream, to throw things, but I held it together. Barely. "Get out," I said coldly. "Pack your stuff and get out of my house." She begged, pleaded, swore it was a mistake. "It didn't mean anything. It's over. Please, just give me another chance." But I was done. Here's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't just hurt. It changes you. I wanted justice, not just for myself, but for everyone she lied to. First, I took the evidence I'd gathered, her text messages, screenshots of her social media, and even the credit card receipts, and compiled them into a neat little folder. Then I sent it anonymously to her company's HR department, highlighting their policy against workplace relationships. Within a week, she was fired. Turns out, M was her direct supervisor, and their affair violated multiple corporate policies. He didn't just lose his job, He was blacklisted in the industry. But I wasn't done. She tried to paint herself as the victim, telling our mutual friends that I'd overreacted and ruined her life. So, I made sure everyone knew the truth. I sent the same folder to her family, her closest friends, even her church group. Some people called it petty, but I didn't care. She destroyed our marriage. The least I could do was destroy her lies. The cherry on top. She'd been saving for a down payment on a house, money she'd kept in a joint account. Since she'd technically committed marital misconduct, I had grounds to claim a portion of it during the divorce proceedings. My lawyer made sure I walked away with a significant chunk. The divorce was finalized within a few months. She tried to fight for spousal support, claiming she'd lost her job because of me, but the judge wasn't having it. She walked away with nothing but the clothes on her back. As for me, I've moved on. Therapy helped, as did the support of friends and family. I started dating again, but I'm much more cautious now. Trust is something that has to be earned, not given freely. Looking back, I don't regret a thing. She made her bed, and now she has to lie in it. If you enjoyed this story, hit subscribe. I promise there's more where that came from.